is he see Eddie comes on. He's very, very casual. There's no airs or anything. He gives Jason one of his Wolfgang guitars that he puts in his lap, and he shows him the automatic E-tune, and he's in Jason's living room with his family, and he's very casual about it. He's talking about how he was inspired by Eric Clapton during the Cream era. His mom said something was so funny. She said, you were so cute and smiling and running around in that Jump video, which is kind of funny. And he said a comment that I really kind of stuck with me. He says, on stage is the only place no one can fuck with me. And that was really fucking telling. I thought that he said that like that, and that, like he's just on stage, he's doing his thing and no one's going to bother him. And then when he talked, and Ed talked about writing and the music that comes out of him, he says, it's not me. It just comes through me. Anyone who thinks they're personally responsible, he says, where do ideas come from? Thin air. It's the man upstairs. So Ed walks into the room. He's wearing a Jason Becker t-shirt. Believe it or not, Dave, Eddie is playing the guitar licks for Can't Get This Stuff No More and Me Wise Magic. It starts at about 3 minutes and 43 seconds and goes to about 5 minutes and 3 seconds. This is Van Halen material that hasn't been released yet at this time. Here's a clip.
Jason says it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful guitar.
He also told him the story of Eruption and how that was recorded, so that was kind of fun. And he was hugging and kissing Jason and holding his hand, and Jason whispers, "We will jam," and he was hoping to play with him someday. Unfortunately, he's unable to do that, but there was also an interesting discussion there about a benefit that apparently happened for Jason, and Eddie was like, why wasn't I involved? And then somebody made a comment. Eddie says he didn't want me to play. He could have at least invited me. Now, I don't know who he was talking about. I don't know if he was talking about Roth. I don't know what he was talking about. But there was some sort of something there. But he says, well, I'm sure as hell going to be at the next one. And he says, when is it? And they told him November 17th in Chicago. This is 1996. And sure enough, Eddie was at that benefit. And he played with Steve Lukather, Billy Sheehan, Pat Torpey. And it was incredible. And Jason wrapped everything up saying, what an example of kindness, humility, and love. Something the world needs now and always. I will never forget my friend. So that was just a really, really cool video and just a peek into the human side of Eddie Van Halen. So what did you think of that, Dave?
That was really something to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, Ed was just like, so nice. It just showed you like what a caring individual he was. He didn't care that, Jason played with David Lee Roth and, he was on the other side of the fence or whatever. Just
Right.
Didn't care about any of that stuff.
No,
and he really went out of his way, to make it a meaningful experience and visit with Jason.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was cool hearing him play what was then, new stuff, Me Wise Magic.
Oh, yeah.
Can't Get This Stuff No More.
Right.
I mean, just like, it's like crazy to hear him jamming on, because, he never played it otherwise.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. The first time you've ever seen him play that live.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's cool.
So I'm always inspired by Jason because, whenever you're like, oh, I can't get to that today, it's kind of like, well, geez, Jason, man, he he's still writing music. And,
Yeah.
The guy, he can't talk, he can't move, but he's still writing music. So
It's incredible.
really, what's my excuse? What's my problem?
I know.
That guy, Jason, has beaten the odds so much.
Yeah.
It's just...
And he's also way outlived what doctors predicted him to live. It's like not even funny.
Yes.
He's sort of a modern miracle.
Yes, and he has, I forget who pointed this out, but Jason, to this day, has great hair.
Yeah, it's true. I bet he's doing better than you and me in that department.
I know. So really, hats off to Jason.
That's true.
So inspirational, and for sharing that video and showing the human side of it.
It was really good timing, too, like the way he released that. And it was very home video. It was like something someone shot on like a camcorder, It was real kind of cool. And his family was very nice about it, so that's cool. Now, also is for Eddie Van Halen, there's a little story. Everybody's coming out with these little Eddie stories. Kind of fun. There's the guitarist Jennifer Batten, who played guitar for Michael Jackson. So obviously she used to play Beat It all the time, right? So in Guitar World's recent memorial issue to Eddie Van Halen, which we will get into at another time because there's so much in there, but I just wanted to point this out. So Michael Jackson's guitars in the 80s and early 90s, Jennifer Batten, she spent years playing Eddie's famous Beat It solo on stages all over the world, and she would always do the solo just like Eddie. That was her way of doing it, and that's the way Michael wanted her to do it. And she said it was challenging, and she said it's always been a challenge. He said during the Bad tour, there was a point where we had a break for a couple of weeks, and I was going to play a gig with another band. And it was one of those nasty LA days where the traffic is awful and it's hotter than hell, so I showed up late, totally stressed out, and the manager of the band greeted me at my car and said, Eddie Van Halen's next door, and he wants you to prove you can play the Beat It solo. And she says that was just an overload to me, so I said my immediate reaction was no. But eventually, Eddie's tech came over and asked if I would come over and meet him. And I said I would love to. So as soon as I walked in the room, he put his guitar on me and wanted me to play the solo. So of course I did. As soon as I finished, he grabbed the guitar and asked me to remind him how the solo went, because it's not something he had played with Van Halen. It was a one-off in the studio, and then he went on his way. But I'd say he picked it up again mighty quick. So that's kind of cool. Nice little funny story there from Jennifer Batten, who spent years playing with Michael Jackson, and Ed trying to learn his own guitar solos. I think it's funny. He must do it and then not think about it. And I guess she's right. If you don't play it live, how is he going to remember it?
Well, he only played it once or twice in the studio, right?
Right. So, he played it once live on tour with the Jacksons on the 1984 tour. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. Now, Michael Anthony spoke out on the Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast about his relationship with Eddie Van Halen. And while Sammy had said he had a chance to patch things up with Ed, unfortunately, Mike did not. And this is what he said, reflecting upon that. We hadn't spoken for the last few years, and unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to. And it kind of bothers me because we had some issues that were never resolved. But I mean, what can you do? We were on a track for a reunion, but I'm really sad it never happened. But life and the show goes on. So, Mike, always taking the high road, I think, like Wolf said, that reunion, that patch-up, that, I guess, sort of a rebonding would have happened. It would have happened had Ed been alive and things have gone forward a little bit. So it's sad to know, but at least we know that both parties were at least at peace with each other, even though they didn't get the chance to speak. But what can you do, Dave? What can you do?
You can't dwell on that stuff.
Yeah,
but at least they were on the road to reconciliation.
Right. It's not like they were both left angry with each other.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting enough, a fan kind of posed a question at Sammy, and Sammy let a little light into the door talking about what about a Van Halen box set, or what do you think, or unreleased stuff. And Sam said, this is on Instagram, "Oh, brother, I know you get it. Right now, the Van Halen world is in limbo. No one taking charge except Alex, and he does not want to do a box set. I would love to see that happen. Who knows down the road? Mikey and I are just loving the circle and staying out of Van Halen business for now." So what does that tell you, Dave? We are getting nothing.
I was going to say, tells me don't hold your breath.
Exactly. But I tell you what did come out. The new Circle album, Lockdown 2020. And that just got released. And let me tell you something. It's a major disappointment. That's where I stand. To be honest with you, it sounds like a bootleg. The sound is not phenomenal. I am so shocked that these songs are not full. Did you see this, Dave? It's unbelievable. The songs are not full. They're literally the snippets of the songs that we got on the video. I thought...
I think that's how they recorded them.
Yeah, I understand. But if you're going to put out an album, it's one thing. It's cool to just put out a little snippet on Instagram or whatever. That's cool because that's what that is. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a little clip thing, and hey, it's fun. But if you're going to put an album out, I mean, put out the full versions of the song.
Well, I think they got such a positive response that they legitimately released the music.
It is literally sounds like someone taped it off of YouTube and just put it on an album. That's exactly what it sounds like. Dave, Won't Get Fooled Again is 2 minutes long. I mean, it's like unbelievable. Funky Feng Shui, I love that song, and it's that was a backstage jam that turned into kind of a groovy tune. That's 1 minute and 11 seconds, good enough, has great energy, and the band's ripping it, but it's 2 minutes long. Little Birds, they have a great groove and a cool vibe on that, but you can't hear Michael Anthony. It's just crazy. Whole Lot of Rosie. It's 2 minutes and 33 seconds. The band gets going, and it's really getting hot, and then all of a sudden, it just burns out. I mean, I don't know. I really don't understand, and I don't know. Like, then you got, like, Keep a Knockin', which is more of a jam than an actual song. Right now, Sam proves he still has his chops. There's no keyboards. It's all the guitar parts is keyboards, which is a different way to do it, and it's slower and a lower register. Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do, I don't think came off very well. It's missing that punch that Eddie really gave it and Alex really gave it. And Sympathy for the Human is fine. It's sort of an average Sam song. But let me tell you something. The single that they did for this, Heroes. I love the song Heroes by David Bowie. I think it's an absolute brilliant song. This is not a good choice for Sam. The vocal range does not fit his voice at all. Here's a clip.
I will be king, and you will be queen. Though nothing could drive them away, we can beat them, but just for one day.
I was really disappointed in this. I can't believe. And there's some other things I thought they could have put on there that would have been cool, like The Seventh Seal, which is a song the band worked up on tour last year. Maybe even throw in a Montrose tune like Make It Last, or even a solo tune for Sammy like Red Voodoo style or something like that. But this was a major disappointment for me. I was really shocked. What did you think?
I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that, because you raved about a lot of the songs as they came out during the year.
You're right, Dave. You're absolutely right. And I totally enjoyed those clips. Now, but wait a second, though. You take away the video. Like I said, it's on social media. You're just doing a little taste, a little fun. I like that, number one, the band was kind of creatively doing something almost every month, and they were at least keeping in touch with the fans. I love the song choices. I thought they sounded great. I think they looked great. I think it was fun that the effort they were doing. I loved all of it. But if you're going to put a collection out, I even said, they should put a collection out. And they did. But how do you put it out sounding like this? The sound is not good. It's not well mixed or balanced. It's very lazy. And how the fuck do you not just record, even if you're going to do, you don't have to make it a huge, polished thing, but my God, it is literally like I ripped it off of YouTube. There's no difference.
You are not the only one to complain about the sound. But that's probably how they, and I'm not defending that, the sound should be at a certain minimum level. But I'm sure that's how they recorded it remotely and then, stuck it up on YouTube.
I know,
Which-
but let me tell you.